Welcome to another video about computational thinking. Now, in this video, it'll be a little bit more, I think, fun and exciting because we're gonna start introducing you to the fundamental of programming. Now, the focus of this video is how we actually translate the algorithm that we came up with into actual program. Just like every other video, we have some learning outcomes for this chapter. One, we have, for example, we need to list 4 of the mostly used high-level language. We'll talk about those. We're going to talk about recognizing the different libraries that are available in Python. And when we get to it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And then we will talk about how we actually convert an algorithm into a computer program. All right, so the last part in here also, we will talk about how we convert a loop or how we use loops in general in programming languages. All right, so what is a computer programming language, or what is a programming language? And this is why some people are afraid of it. Okay, it's not really something to be worried about, because computer language is referred to a programming language sometimes. It's a formal language used to communicate between the humans and the machines. We're telling the machine to do something for us. So we need to use a language that the machine can understand. All right? Now there are many programming languages. And these programming languages, your choice of programming language depends on you mainly, but it again is dictated by the technology that you're trying to implement. For example, we have Java. Java is a very widely used programming language, and it was, when it first came up, it was known as to write once and run many in different devices. Now it's used on websites, it's used on different computers, it's used on mobiles, it's used everywhere, all right? Then we have C# and Visual Studio, and this again, Visual Studio has many programming languages, but we're focusing on C# here. Again, these are Microsoft product, and usually the code that we write usually runs on Microsoft operating system. Of course, they have the ability to run on different platforms, but initially they're meant to run only on Microsoft product. Now we have Swift. Swift is an Apple product, that is a programming language that is used to develop programs for iOS and for Mac operating system. Now, again, there is a move in these things to make it more open and run on different devices, but right now this is typically where you use them for. JavaScript is a very common language. It's used a lot. It's a scripting language. It's different than the other languages. It's interpreted language. You have a program that runs these languages for you, this script for you, like a browser. Think about the browser. So these are used for web technology a lot, mainly for web technology, but it's used in games also, and it's used in other platforms. The main focus of this course is Python. And Python is becoming a very popular language, and it's used a lot. Why? Because we'll tell you in a minute, it has a wide range of functions and libraries that allow you to do things much easier. Now, in each programming language, you need to have a platform where you develop your programs. Now, there are programs that you install on your computer to do that, but we're going to use something called Ripple.it. It's a website that allows you to actually write the program on a website, like on a browser, anywhere you are. You don't need a special tool, you don't need a special software in your computer. You just simply visit this website, and then you write your code, and then done. You can test it there. So why a Python programming language? Okay. The ability to connect, it has a unique ability to connect to a wide range of data sources. It integrates with many applications, including machine language, artificial intelligence, motions, graphics, etc. Many more. And it's an open source, so these things are developed on regular basis, on a daily basis, and people add stuff to it, all right? So in Python, there are certain libraries, we call them libraries. A library, think about it, is a package, like somebody is giving you a box of tools, all right? Here is this box that has many things in it, all right? So you can use whatever you want. Some of these tools are hard to do it if you want to do it yourself. So somebody did it for us, and then all we do is simply use it. So we have different libraries. One of them is called NumPy. And this package or this library has a lot of small programs. Think about these are a lot of small programs that you can use already made and to do scientific computation, all right? You have another library, it's called SciPy. Okay, what is that for? Again, you have a lot of tools already bundled for you in this package that is used for mathematics and science and engineering, okay? So a lot of the complex equations, I don't need to worry about it. It might be already exist in these packages. Another one that is very, 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 very powerful and popular is called Pandas. You all heard about data analytics, you heard about machine learning or analyzing data. This package, it basically gives you a lot of these tools to analyze your data in a high speed way. Okay, it's very, very, very fast. Think about this like an glorified Excel package. Okay, it does things for you without having to write any line of code. The last one is called Matplot library, and this one is a Python 2D library to allow you to plot 2D graphics. Okay, so that is really, if you think about it, this is just a sample of what libraries are available there. There is one additional library that I didn't put it in here. We can put it in here. It's called Turtle Library. The Turtle Library or package allows you to do what? It allows you to draw graphics in a very simplistic manner, easy way, on your screen. The purpose of it for me and how we are using it, we're going to use it for you to learn the syntax of Python and problem solving in a very easy and nice way. All right? So how do you translate an algorithm to a Python code? Now, the Turtle, as I said, the Turtle library has many built-in functions, and I talked to you about it. It allows you to draw lines, draw circles, change colors, change the pen. It does many, many, many things. So the nice thing about it, it's still using Python. We're still, while we're doing and learning and having fun, we're going to learn the Python programming language. We're going to start and take it easy here to explain to you the process. Now, again, this is just an introduction. This is going to be the PowerPoint. And when we actually get to the live code, it should be a lot more fun, and hopefully the ideas will sink in. I think you need to try it, and then the purpose of this course, we're going to try for you to do as much practical examples as possible in order to gain that confidence, and then it should give you enough basics to move forward. All right, so we're going to look at this. Now, you notice that you have something called import, something called turtle, and something called as and t. What is this? Okay. Now, programming languages, they are, yes, English-like languages, but they are not just same as English. It's a subset of the English language, if you think, and it has its own grammar, all right? You can't just take an English language and put it into a program and then it's done. No, it has what we call its own syntax, its own rules about how to write these commands to the computer. So a computer language is basically a set of commands. These commands, they need to be translated into a computer language so they can understand them. There are rules, and these rules you're not going to learn from the first day. These rules you're going to build on them day by day. Day by day, you gain more experience. We're going to start with the simple stuff, and then you will be able to add more and more skills on the top, the skills that you have to come up with more complex solutions. So this is a line of code. Each line of code usually is called a statement. in a computer language. All right? So I have a statement. This statement does something. Usually every statement does something unless it is a comment. Okay? So we have comments and we have statements. A statement has a purpose. In Python, in general, and other languages, you want to use an external program, a library. Remember we talked about these libraries? So you need to instruct the computer, please include this library in my program, my own program. Somebody else wrote it, but I want to use it in my program. So we have the keyword called import. So import is a keyword by Python. So import says, I want you to include something. What do you want to include? A name of a turtle, a name of a library. What is the name of the library? It's called turtle. So import turtle. And I'm going to give it my own name so I can use it in my own program easier. So I'm going to say as T. T is my own name. I give it a name. It could be T, it could be a P, it could be X, it could be Y, whatever you want to call it. So I said, I'm going to define this library. I'm going to include this library, and I'm going to give it my own name so I can use it in my program easily. So I'm going to give it name called T. In technical terms, in the book, you'll notice that it's an object. T is an object. An object called object-oriented, whatever, is another animal by itself. We're not going to tackle it, but for now, you need to think about this. I define something called T, and this T is the turtle that I imported in my program. So all the commands that are available in turtle now available in what? That name, the name that I gave it called T. So if I want to say T forward, now I can say T dot forward. Forward is the command. Now there are different names to these things. There is sometimes some people call it functions, some people call it methods, some people call it action, whatever you want to call it, right? But the purpose of it is that I am instructing the program to do something. In this case, the library that we call it turtle has many functions or many methods, and one of them is called forward. So I say T dot forward, and then I give it the parameter. We call this a parameter, or the value that I want to move by. So I'm going to say, okay, I want you to move by 100 dots, 100 pixels. So the result of it is actually a line drawn for 100 dots, okay, 100 points, all right? And the parameter, notice the commands usually, when you're giving into a function, usually they are enclosed into these parentheses, okay? So all the commands usually have the information that I want to pass to this function is usually enclosed into these parentheses. A lot of times students make mistakes here, is that you forget one parenthesis, you forget to put the parentheses, but this is just to make sure you understand it, all right? So another command available in this library, we wanted to draw, for example, I want to move the directions of drawing, all right? So I'm telling the computer now, okay, I've drawn 100 lines straight, okay, but I want you now to move left going up, okay, by 90 degrees. So I use another command, says T dot left and then 90 degree. Again, 100, the parameter goes into these brackets, notice? And now notice the cursor on the screen. You see how that little triangle in the screen, that the cursor is what is pointing upward now, right? Now I can draw another line. So now I can see I draw my move forward by 100 points. Okay, so and I can repeat this process over and over and over again. I can repeat it 4 times and I get my box. Now if you go back, now notice here, here are your first command to learn. Now mastering a programming language is not going to come on the first day. It's not going to come in the first week. It's not going to come in the first month. It's not going to come in the first few months. You need more and you need practice. And then every day you're adding a little bit of knowledge to your language. Just like you're learning a language when you're a kid. You're learning simple language first and then you add to it. So that's what you need to focus on. Okay. The key thing, the important thing in here is to learn how the grammar or the syntax of this language, so I can write this program without fear, without mistakes. Okay. So in this, if you want to summarize, what did we learn? I learned how to import a library, import turtle. I learned how to define an object within my code instead of using turtle again and again and again. I want to create an object so I can use it into my program. All right. So we say import turtle as T. T is my object. This is the one that I use in my program. All right. Then I can now, from now on, I can issue a command. I can say, I want to move forward. So we learn how to move forward. It say again how you put values, you put 100 in that between these parentheses, and this is your input to this function, input to this method. So this is input to the command. All right. The command is forward, and then how much you want it to, the value that you pass to it. Then I know how to turn left, and then I know how to draw again. Now guess what? There's turn left. I'm sure there's turn right, right? To right, okay? But we're gonna focus on these now. We can start seeing how your algorithm, your program start developing. All right, next. Okay, so how we draw the square now? Now, if you think about, if we look at the algorithm that we had before, it's basically move 100 point, 90 degree, 100 point, 90 degree, 100 point, 90 degree, and 100 point and 90 degree, 4 times. Now, if you want to take that and translate it into a Python, this is how it looks like, okay? Now, each line of code here again is called what? Statement, okay? And each statement usually have a number. Why? Because if I have a problem, I can easily go to that number and figure out where the problem is, okay? So I have, this program has the first line, first statement again is called import my turtle as T. Okay, we've seen that. I explained that in details. And then the next one is moving forward. Again, it's a command. And next one is what? Moving left, turning left. And the next one is what? Moving forward and turning left, moving forward and turning left, moving forward. And then the last one is we're drawing another box, and I want to draw move by 5 degrees. All right. Now, in this sections, I'm taking my time because usually the first one is kind of like the scariest thing. I'm taking my time explaining these, and I know it could have been explained in a lot shorter, but I want you to get enough confidence to move forward. Without knowing these basics, it'll be very, very, very difficult for you later on. So it's important that we learn these basics and then engravings in our head in order to move forward. All right? So what we're going to do in the live code example, we're going to take these, put them in the computer, and see, and go to that website that I showed you, and then actually write it as is and see what we get. All right. Now, to complete the solution, remember this is how to draw a box. Now, I know how to draw a box. If I take this and then put it on the code, it would draw a box. Now, I want to draw more boxes. In the more boxes, there is something called in code called repetitions. Now, in repetitions, there are different ways to do it. Now, one of them is called a loop. A loop, what kind of loop? It is a for loop. A for loop, it repeats a block of code numerous times. You determine how many times you want to do it. Okay, and usually you are in that loop until you finish. Okay, you don't get out of that loop. You're in that loop until you're done. So your solutions, your program is repeating that code that you put in that loop until it's done. And I'm going to explain to you, this is another thing that you learn, another statement. We learned the other statements. This is a little bit complex, a little bit more complex statement. Now, in Python, now if you know other languages, it's a little bit different. In Python, there's a command called for. It's called keyword. All right. This keyword requires you to add, again, computer syntax language. This keyword requires you to put things in the right order, in a certain way. All right. So, for example, a for loop requires you to enter, for in this case, something that is going to change all the time. because you're going to say, whether it's a list, it will give you the next number. Whether it's a number, it's going to give you first number and then the next number and so forth. So we call that is my counter. This is the number that will change to me in that loop. Again, I will take my time to explain it to you, and when we do the example, it'll make more sense. So for I, my counter, that's the first part. This is the one that's going to change, all right? In a range. Now, this could be a range. It could be a list, whatever. Now, n is another keyword, all right? So it says these are all keywords. So, for example, 4 is a keyword. N is a keyword. I is your choice. You can determine whatever letter you like to use. It could be a word itself. So the things that are keys, I have to use. 4 is a key. N is a key. I is what we call a variable, which we'll introduce you to later. The counter could be anything that you want to name it, all right? So it's I, could be X, could be Y, could be Z, whatever. Now, range is another keyword. Okay, so I'm going to say, I am defining a counter. This counter is I in this range. What range? I'm going to go from 1 to 20. All right? So the range is, again, it's almost like a function. It's not a function. It's a keyword that requires 2 parameters. What are the parameters? The first starting point and the ending point. So the first starting point is 1 and the ending point is 20. So this code, this loop, we call loop, will start from 1 to 20. What variable or what number will be changing? I. So I, it will be 1. Next time it will be 10, 2, 3, 4 until 20, and then it will be done. So our code becomes like this. The import turtle is fine. Now I have the for loop. The for loop, notice 2 things about it. For loop, we have the keyword for is fine, I is fine, I explain it, n is fine, range is fine. The last thing after range is what? Those colon. You see that colon? It says that, okay, everything underneath this will be part of this loop. So notice when I put that colon, the next statement, or remember this, we call this statement, the next statement is what? Is shifted a little bit inward by a space. So it means what? That all these elements underneath it are actually belonging to that for loop. So what happens is that says, okay, I'm going to go from 1 to 20, and I want you to do the following. Everything is shifted inward, belong to that for loop. All right? What are we going to do? We're going to do square, and then we're going to turn the angle. Remember that original algorithm that we had? Determine the number of boxes, draw a square, turn by a specific angle. The specific angle is 5 degrees. Now you can make it any degree you want, you get different shapes. But this is what we decided, right? So what happens? It goes like this. The first time it draws a line. Second time it moves to by 90 degrees. And the next command, the next command, the next command. And it repeats, it stays in this loop until what? Until 20 elements. All right? So for example, we start from 1 to 20. If you want to draw 100, all you have to do is that I can change from 1 to 100. Okay, and then it would draw 100 box and so forth. All right? This is an introduction. Again, don't be afraid. We're going to do it together. But if you summarize what we learned from here, the commands that we learned from here are pretty basics. How to import a library using the keyword import. How to use turtle. We use the library name called turtle. We define an object called T. Okay, you can call it anything you want. Now you can issue, after you do that, you can issue commands. These commands are available in that library. In this case, turtle. There are several commands. In this, there are many, many commands. We've learned some basic commands. What do we learn? We learned how to move forward, say 3 dot forward. And then you can give it how many dots you want to move. And then you can do what? You can do, for example, you can say turn left. I'm sure you can do turn right, but I didn't show you that. You can try it, to turn left. Okay, by the degree that you want to turn. And then you can repeat that stuff. You can repeat what? Using what? You can use loops. You can use loops. For example, in this case, we learned you how to use for loop. A for loop takes usually 3 parameters. First part is that what? Your counter, we call it a counter. And then that is your starting point, like the variable that will change, the value that will change every time. And then you have it's usually a range. A range has 2 parts, the starting point and the ending point. All right. And then the last part in here, make sure in Python that all variable, the things that are part of the loop are shifted inwards. All right, by at least 1 space. All right. So that is the summary of how we translate a program into a programming language, or a solution into a programming language. And we're going to do live code in the next one, so it'll actually help you understand more and gain more experience.